Hey, how you doing? Eric at SoCal Cigars. So what I wanted to do was talk about calibrating your digital hygrometer or analog hygrometer, either one. I just don't recommend using the analog ones. I think they are very inaccurate and I wouldn't waste my time with them. I often just recommend trashing those. For under 20 bucks or about 20 bucks, you can get a digital hygrometer that not only does the relative humidity, but it also does the temperature, which are both key in understanding the environment in your humidor. So you got to think, when you're investing thousands of dollars potentially in cigars, you need to have them in the right atmosphere, the right climate inside your humidor to make sure that these things are staying basically how you want them. You don't want them too dry, you don't want them bulging, cracking, you don't want them in a situation where you're getting cigar beetles. I mean, this is all detrimental to our stash. So you've got to make sure that you know what the environment is at all times so you can adjust it accordingly. So what I'm going to talk about is the salt test. There's other ways to do this. I found this to be the easiest way because you've already got most of what you, well, I'm sure you have everything what you need already in your house. I know like Boveda, I think they sell like a little kit that you can use that, you know, makes the relative humidity at a certain level, and you can do this similar test, but what you're doing is just using their little pack instead of the salt. So all you really need is a plastic bag, a little plastic cap like off of a water bottle, regular table salt, and distilled water. So like I said, I'm sure that most of you already have that in your house, so pretty easy. There's been some debate on how long the salt test needs to last to get the right reading. I've heard everything from 2 hours to 24 hours. The rule of thumb I follow is what most people agree upon, is that anything above 6 hours is fine. So what I tend to do is I'll do it one day and then I'll just check it the next day. So I just let it sit overnight. So however long that is, it's well over 6 hours and it's fine. What the salt does is the salt forces the environment in that plastic bag to be 75% relative humidity. That's why it's so accurate. That's why it's used by so many people, because it forces that to happen. So when you put your hygrometers in there and you let it sit for the proper amount of time and you look at the reading on your hygrometer, if it's not 75, then you're dealing with an inaccurate hygrometer. And so this is a really, really easy way to fix that. If you have one like I use, it's adjustable, which is awesome. I highly recommend spending the 20 bucks and getting an adjustable one. If you don't have an adjustable one, what you would need to do is just look at the reading you're getting and just understand that when you're looking at it, you've got to add or subtract how far off it is, which is easy enough to do as well. But obviously having the digital one that you can adjust is way easier. So anyway, that's really all there is to it. But again, rather than reading about it or hearing someone explain it, what we should do is just go upstairs and I'm gonna walk you through it so you can see what it is real life, so you can mimic what I'm doing, so that you can do this on a regular basis. And what that would mean is, I would say every 3 to 6 months. It's so easy to do that you can do it as often as you want, but I would say between 3 and 6 months is plenty to find out where you're sitting and how accurate they are, how far off it's drifted from being accurate. So anyway, let's go upstairs in my office where I've got my humidor, and let's do the salt test. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to calibrate my hygrometers. I got 2 of them, as you can see. So what I'm going to do, just going to pop these out. There's one. And there's 2. Okay, so now that we've gone over why we're doing this thing and we've gone over all the particulars of what the salt test entails, I think it's really important to actually see how to do it in real life. It's one thing to be told how to do it, it's one thing to read about it, but it's another thing to actually watch someone do it so you can mimic that. Makes it a lot easier, I think. So here we go. So here we got all the items we talked about. We've got our bag, we've got our table salt, we've got our little container or cap, we've got our distilled water, and we've got our hygrometer, or for my situation, I have 2. It doesn't matter, you can put multiple into the same bag, it doesn't make a difference. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our cap and we're going to take our salt and we're going to put a fair amount of salt into the cap. It doesn't need to be full, it just needs to be, I don't know, maybe halfway. And then we're going to take our distilled water and we're going to squirt a little bit on there, and we're going to do this. It's easier to add more later if you have to, but we're not looking to make this into too much of a liquidy situation here. We want this to be more like of a slurry, almost just past a paste, I would say. Because the goal isn't to really have the humidity coming from the distilled water. It's more that we're making a salt environment that's going to force the humidity in this bag to become 75%. So that's perfect. Okay, so then all we're going to do is we're going to set this aside. We open our bag and we take our hydrometer or hydrometers, shove them in the bag. We take our little lid of our salt slurry and we seal our bag up. That's it. Simple. Okay, so we are back. It is the next day. And kind of interesting to see where this fell. So if you want to look, kind of interesting. They're both dead on to each other. They both are the same temperature and they both are the same relative humidity. They just happen to be 3 points low. So these should both be reading 75 if they were going to be accurate. So let me explain how this is going to work. On this particular hygrometer, the red button is what changes from Celsius to Fahrenheit. The dial is, it's hard to explain because it's when you turn the dial, you don't see the reading go up. So how this works is, being how this is 3 points off as far as the percentage goes, I'm going to turn the dial to the right 3 clicks, and then I'm going to hit the little black button to the left. And that's what's going to set my reading in place. So let me go ahead and set this back down and open the bag. And I will try to do this kind of quick because once you open the bag, the humidity changes. So I know for these, I've got to go 3 clicks to the right to get these to 75. Okay, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to hit this button. Oop, too far. Okay, that one's good. And then I'll click this back to Fahrenheit. Okay, now let's grab the other one. Like I said, you want to kind of do this fast because once it's out of the bag, it changes very quickly. Okay, so we want to go up again, a couple clicks, hit it to where it changes the reading back, it resets. One more tiny click. You barely move this thing and it changes. Like I said, you barely touch it and it changes. Okay, 75. And then we're going to switch back to Fahrenheit. So now, as you can see, the other one, which I set at 75, is already down to 73. So it's going to change pretty quickly. But the other one in a few minutes will probably drop down to 73. So the bottom line is, once they're out of the bag, don't be alarmed because they're going to start adjusting to the outside humidity in your room very quickly. But as we saw, the key is once you pull it out of the bag, set it right away, get it to the 75 you know it's supposed to be at. And then after that, it's going to be calibrated properly. And then we'll put them back in the humidor. And then we will know that at least, I would argue, for the next 3 to 6 months, it's going to be dead on. Okay, so here's my humidor. I'm going to go ahead and reinsert these two little guys in here. One-handed. It's kind of tricky. Okay, so that just sticks in there. And it's reading from the front, so then we'll take this, push these guys back, and get this other one in. And close her on up. Then I'll come back in a little while and I'll see where my humidor is at. Hey guys, okay, so we're back. It's been a couple days. It's now Tuesday. We had done the salt test from Saturday to Sunday. So let's see where we're at. 73 on the top, 68 on the bottom. So I have noticed with these refrigerated units, there's usually a difference between the top and the bottom humidity. So kind of don't panic about that. Just understand that you want to just keep a balance, a happy medium. The bottom line is, by doing the salt test, at least I know where I'm really standing here. So instead of me thinking that 73 and it's really 70, when it says 73, I can trust that it's actually 73. So that's the whole reason we're doing this. So as you can see how easy it was, don't be afraid to do it. Do it every 3 to 6 months. Keep your stash at the right humidity and temperature so that you can smoke these things and really enjoy them. It's a major factor on how your cigars smoke and taste. So really don't be afraid of doing this. Just follow what I did, do it yourself, keep this thing going, keep everything to where it's supposed to be, and you will be much happier with your smokes. Anyway, Eric at SoCal Cigars, hopefully this was helpful. Like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.